oligarchy is a president who, when he gets inaugurated, he doesn't hide it. Right behind him are the three wealthiest people in America, and right behind them are 13 other billionaires who he has appointed to head major government agencies. And he said, our vision for the future of America.
Did you see Bernie Sanders roast Trump at Coachella, while 30,000 people cheered him on? The 82-year-old senator showed up at a music festival and had young people going wild. Meanwhile, Trump can't even fill a high school gym without paying people to attend. When Bernie mentioned Trump's name, the crowd booed so loud you could hear it across the festival grounds. Bernie just nodded and said, "I agree." Classic Bernie move. Imagine Trump at Coachella. He'd be complaining about the heat messing up his hair while demanding VIP porta-potty. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Did you ever think you'd see an 82-year-old senator stealing the show at Coachella? Me neither. But that's exactly what happened when Bernie Sanders showed up at one of America's biggest music festivals. Coachella is supposed to be for pop stars and influencers with perfect hair and designer outfits. Then Bernie walks in wearing his regular old jacket, looking like he just came from a town hall in Vermont. What's even funnier is how much the young crowd loved him. Most politicians his age would look as out of place at Coachella as a penguin in the desert. They'd try to say things like, "That's lit fam," and embarrass themselves. But not Bernie. He didn't pretend to know the latest TikTok dances or try to sound cool. He just showed up as himself and talked about real issues. That authenticity is exactly why the kids went wild for him. The contrast with Trump couldn't be more obvious. Trump needs his rallies planned down to the last detail. He wants people standing behind him who look like they came from Central Casting. His team screens attendees like they're auditioning for a reality show. Not pretty enough, sorry, you can't sit in the camera shot. Meanwhile, Bernie's out here at a music festival with people wearing neon shorts and flower crowns. Florida Congressman Maxwell Frost, the first Gen Z member of Congress, introduced Bernie before he went on stage to introduce singer-songwriter Claro. When Bernie mentioned Trump's name during his speech, the boos were so loud they probably heard them all the way in Palm Springs. Bernie's response a simple "I agree." No fancy political talk. Number 10-minute explanation, just "I agree," and the crowd loved it. This is why young people connect with Bernie in a way they never will with Trump. Bernie doesn't talk down to them or try to trick them with big words and empty promises. He just says what he thinks. Trump, on the other hand, talks to young people like they're stupid or not in the room at all. So what exactly did Bernie say that got the Coachella crowd all fired up? He went straight for Trump's climate denial. He thinks that climate change is a hoax. Bernie told the crowd he is dangerously wrong, and you and I are going to have to stand up to the fossil fuel industry and tell them to stop destroying the planet. That hit home with the festival crowd, who will be dealing with climate disasters long after Trump is gone. Bernie also called on the crowd to stand up, to fight for justice, to fight for economic justice, social justice, and racial justice. No wonder the young people were cheering while Trump's busy complaining about windmills giving you cancer. Bernie's talking about actual problems that affect people's lives. This Coachella appearance wasn't just some random event. It's part of Bernie's fighting oligarchy tour that's been drawing thousands across the country. He's taking his message directly to young Americans in places politicians usually avoid. Bernie's showing up in their spaces instead of expecting them to come to his. Meanwhile, Trump sticks to his safe spaces where everyone worships him like he's some kind of orange god. He couldn't handle a real festival crowd. Imagine Trump at Coachella. He'd melt faster than an ice cream cone in the desert sun. He'd be whining about the heat.
Brothers and sisters, what we are celebrating today in May Day is, in a sense, a sacred holiday. In dozens of countries, workers are standing up to oligarchy and demanding a world in which all people have a decent standard of living. And today we thank our brothers and sisters in the trade union movement.
Walking and how the stages aren't gold-plated. Bernie's Coachella moment shows exactly why Trump is scared of him. Bernie connects with young voters without even trying, while Trump can't connect with them no matter how many weird TikToks his team makes. One speaks truth, the other just speaks Trump, and as the Coachella crowd made clear, they know the difference. Trump loves to brag about his crowd sizes, but the numbers don't lie. Bernie just broke his own record with 30,000 real supporters showing up in Denver. No paid actors, no forced attendees, just regular Americans who actually wanted to be there. Meanwhile, Trump's rally in Warren, Michigan barely scraped together 4,000 people. Bernie even posted about it on Twitter, or X, or whatever Elon's calling it this week. Sad Bernie's fighting oligarchy tour is pulling in massive crowds all across America, even in places you wouldn't expect. We're talking Utah and Idaho, states as red as Trump's face when someone mentions his actual net worth. These aren't your typical political rallies with people clapping politely and checking their watches. They are turning into full-blown protest movements against Trump's second term and the Billionaire Boys Club backing him. Trump rallies are basically group therapy sessions for people with grievance addiction. It's just hours of complaining about how everything is rigged, everyone is mean, and nothing is ever his fault. Bernie's events actually give people things to do about our problems. He's got specific actions people can take to protect democracy, instead of just being angry all the time. Bernie's message about billionaires controlling politics hits differently now that we've all watched Elon Musk transform from quirky car guy to guy who might literally run parts of our government if Trump wins. Imagine giving the Twitter troll who posts weird memes at 3 a.m. actual government power. That's the world Trump wants to create. The crowds at Bernie's events look nothing like Trump rallies at Trump's. You'll see a sea of red hats that all look the same at Bernie's. You've got college students standing next to grandmas, workers in uniforms next to teachers, and even some Republicans who finally realize Trump doesn't actually care about them. They're united by one thing: they don't want democracy replaced with Trump's weird king fantasy. Bernie doesn't just talk about problems like most politicians, he offers solutions and tells people to run for office themselves. This isn't about him, it's about creating a movement that keeps going even when he's not in the room. Trump, on the other hand, can't stand when anyone else gets attention. His idea of building a movement is making sure everyone has a Trump flag on their truck. So what's Bernie telling all these people to actually do about Trump? His strategy is simple but effective: early voting and massive turnout. Trump's entire plan depends on confusing people about voting and then challenging results he doesn't like. Bernie's counter strategy is overwhelming turnout that can't be ignored. He's giving his supporters concrete ways to protect democracy, while Trump's still telling people the last election was stolen. As Bernie travels from state to state, his resistance army just keeps growing. Each rally adds thousands more people ready to vote, volunteer, and fight back against Trump's attacks on democracy. Meanwhile, Trump's support stays exactly the same angry crowd that's been following him for years, just getting older and smaller. The contrast: building a nationwide movement to protect democracy with specific plans and growing support. The other guy is hosting increasingly desperate grievance sessions while pretending more people showed up than actually did. One is being honest about the threats we face, the other is the threat. Trump can keep pretending he's more popular than he is. He can keep having his team Photoshop his crowds to look bigger, but at the end of the day, 30,000 real Americans showing up for Bernie in Denver tells the real story. People are ready to fight for democracy, and Trump's running out of tricks to stop them. Trump loves telling everyone how rich he is, but Bernie is pulling back the curtain on something more important: how Trump's billionaire buddies are the real threat to regular Americans. While Trump brags about his gold toilets, Bernie's out here warning about the whole system being rigged by the super rich. Bernie doesn't just talk about Trump, he talks about the entire oligarchy.
Well, what everyone knows is that today we have a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class. They are incredibly greedy people. These oligarchs, these billionaires are not nice people.
Taking over America. What's an oligarchy? It's when a small group of super rich people run everything. When Bernie talks about oligarchy, people listen because they can see it happening right in front of them. When Trump talks about anything, half the crowd is just waiting for him to say something they can put on a t-shirt. Most Democrats just focus on Trump's weird hair and orange skin, but Bernie connects all the dots between Trump, Elon Musk, and other billionaires working together to reshape America for their own benefit. It's like a country club membership where the initiation fee is $1 billion and the membership perk is controlling the government. Bernie has specifically pointed out that the government has become one of the billionaires, by the billionaires, and for the billionaires. That sounds like Abraham Lincoln's famous speech if Lincoln was warning us about Jeff Bezos instead of celebrating democracy. One thing that really stands out is how Bernie's been saying the same stuff for 40 years while Trump changes his position more often than he changes his ill-fitting suits. Bernie was fighting for working people when Trump was still appearing in Pizza Hut commercials and bad movies. Trump's changed political parties more times than most people changed their phone case. Bernie's been saying since day one that the average American worker is earning less per week, when adjusted for inflation, than they were 52 years ago. Meanwhile, Trump's tax plan gave billionaires more money than most of us will see in our entire lifetimes. Who exactly is fighting for regular people here? That's why Bernie's message works even in places where people normally vote Republican. He talks about how people actually live, not just red team versus blue team politics. Working people in Idaho have more in common with working people in New York than either group has with billionaires. Bernie gets that Trump doesn't. Trump claims to care about the forgotten man, but his policies have done nothing but help his rich friends while hurting the people who work for a living. Remember when he promised to protect Social Security and Medicare, then tried to cut both? Bernie remembers. So how is Bernie calling out Trump's cozy relationship with billionaires like Elon Musk? Is showing the receipts. Bernie points out that just in person Elon Musk has more wealth than the bottom 52% of American households combined. That's more than half the country. Imagine one guy having more money than 170 million Americans put together. That's not just inequality, that's a broken system. Bernie isn't just criticizing, his warning about the specific dangers of having billionaires with direct influence over government policy. Imagine Elon Musk making decisions about labor laws when he already treats his workers poorly, or billionaires deciding tax policy when they already hide their money offshore. It's like putting the fox in charge of the hen house, except the fox also owns the farm, the supermarket, and the restaurant where they serve chicken. This fight against the billionaire takeover isn't just another political squabble. It's about whether our government works for everyone or just the super rich. Bernie's taking on not just Trump, but the entire system that created Trump. While Trump plays golf with billionaires, Bernie's building a movement to take their power.
I think the American people are sick and tired of Elon Musk, the richest guy in the world, running around slashing Social Security, veterans programs that Republicans. And I think the American people are prepared to stand with those of us who say that, you know what, we're a government of the people, by the people, for the people, not the oligarchy. You got to stand up, you got to fight back, you got to go into the streets, you got to rally the American people. I think you can win millions of people.
The question is, which side are you on? We've seen lots of politicians say they care about democracy, but there's a big difference between saying it and actually fighting for it. Trump refused to accept that he lost the election, and then his fans attack the Capitol. Meanwhile, Bernie is out here actually defending democracy like it's his full-time job. Bernie doesn't beat around the bush. When he talks about Trump, he straight up calls Trump what he's an authoritarian threat unlike anything we've seen in modern America. While other politicians try to be polite about it, Bernie just tells it like it is. Trump wanted to throw out votes he didn't like and stay president even though he lost. That's not how democracy works. In his speeches, Bernie specifically points out how Trump attacked mail-in voting and tried to break the postal service right before an election. Remember, when those mailboxes started disappearing in 2020, that wasn't an accident. Trump was trying to make it harder for people to vote during a pandemic. He basically said the quiet part out loud when he admitted if more people vote, Republicans lose. Most politicians talk about threats to our norms and other vague fancy terms. Not Bernie. He names exactly what Trump is doing: voter suppression, intimidation, and flat out refusing to accept election results. He doesn't like Bernie said Trump's own words showed his plan. We're going to have to see what happens. You know that I have been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster. We want to get rid of the ballots, and you'll have a very peaceful, there won't be a transfer. Frankly, there will be a continuation. That's Trump literally saying he wanted to get rid of ballots. One thing Bernie keeps reminding people is that mail-in voting isn't some crazy new idea Trump wants you to think it is. It's been used successfully for years. Military members vote by mail, seniors vote by mail, Trump himself votes by mail. It only became fraud when Trump decided more Democrats would use it during the pandemic. Funny how that works. While Trump spreads wild conspiracy theories about dead people voting and ballot dumps, Bernie comes with actual facts. He pointed out that studies show voter fraud is super rare, between 0.00003% and 0.0025%. Even the conservative Heritage Foundation, which definitely isn't a Bernie fan club, could only find a tiny number of mail-in voting fraud cases ever. Trump is basically scared of a problem that doesn't exist. So how is Bernie telling Americans to fight back against Trump's attacks on democracy? His plan is simple but smart. First, vote early. Don't wait until the last minute. Second, massive turnout. A landslide is harder to deny than a close race. Bernie said a landslide victory for Joe Biden would make it exceedingly difficult for Trump to deny the election results. He's also pushing state governments to count mail-in votes earlier, so we don't have days of uncertainty after the election. Bernie's joke at Coachella about Trump was perfect. He compared Trump to a spoiled kid who can't accept losing a game, knocks over the board and runs home crying. The crowd cracked up because it's funny and true. Trump literally tried to flip over America's game board when he lost this whole fight to